Hello and welcome to the Power of Passive Investing. We have a very interesting guest today. And as you guys know, we always talk about real estate, and today's topic will also include some of real estate investing. But the main theme will be AI, as we have an AI expert with us. Avi, welcome to our show. Great to have you.
Yeah, thank you, Alina. So thank you so much for having me on.
Of course, it's our pleasure. And Avi, we always start with our interviewees sharing a little bit about themselves. So why don't you start with that? Just share a little bit about yourself, what you've done in the past, and what are you doing now?
Yeah, thank you so much. So, I've had a pretty unorthodox way to where I've gotten to where I am now. So I'll just keep it on the briefer side. But basically, I had no tech background before I started becoming an AI consultant. I kind of taught myself everything I know right now. And I actually started, it goes back to Brooklyn College, where I graduated with an accounting, business management, finance degree because I was originally going for the CPA because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I figured that was the most broad business degree I could get. So then I started to work at PwC doing risk assurance, so like IT, security, automation, SOC 1, SOC 2s. And I didn't really enjoy it at the time, but I found that a lot of that information is really useful now. So just funny how things come full circle. And then at some point during that period, I met with some legal teams and I find that area very interesting. So then I transferred over to law school. And throughout law school, I worked for a solo practitioner doing real estate corporate law. And that's where things really get interesting because during that period, that's where I guess ChatGPT was released to the world. And I just saw everything was just so slow and so outdated with how all of the contracts were reviewed and all the brokers, the lawyers, the lender, everyone was speaking to each other and things were getting missed, errors were getting passed through. And when AI came out, I was like, this is revolutionary technology. And I just started playing around with it as much as I could. And the more I dove into it, the more I was just like, wow, this is incredible. So then I just started discovering that there's more than ChatGPT, there's other large language models. And I kind of just kept going down this rabbit hole and then applying it as I could to every single use case I could possibly think of. So just from a practical standpoint. So then towards the end of law school, I was like, you know what? I feel like I have this so much knowledge, a good background, this AI, and I love the real estate space. So I graduated law school and then I decided instead of taking the bar, I pushed off the bar and then I launched my own AI company to help small to medium-sized businesses and companies just really learn how to take this technology and apply it to their use cases to make it as helpful as possible. So that, in a nutshell, is what I'm doing right now and how I got here.
Wow, what a journey, Avi, and thank you
Yeah,
for. So, first you started in accounting, which is very similar to where I started, although I was on a Big Four tax side many years ago before AI came to place. But then law school and now doing AI. That's interesting.
yeah.
Are you still planning to take advantage of law school?
I think it's a great foundation to have. I'm still not sure where I want to take that knowledge that I've had because I really see so much potential in the AI space, but right now I haven't fully decided what I wanted to do with that law degree yet. But it's just such helpful information to have all that background, the legalities of things, just to think about things from a different perspective that I think is really crucial in approaching these different assignments.
Awesome, awesome, very nice. I also appreciate how you saw the opportunity where AI can help scale businesses and expedite the and actually decrease this workload for many people and many companies, and now doing that. So let's talk about some of the most common use cases that you're solving for businesses.
Yeah. So I would say it starts off by a lot of times when I meet with people, it's they're doing a lot of manual, let's say for real estate, it's underwriting or prospecting, or in today's day, a very big thing about getting in front of potential clients is even just marketing or posting on social media. People don't realize how essential that is in today's day. So it's kind of using AI to get a first draft of everything you're doing, not to take yourself fully out of the loop, but by using AI to get that first draft of the underwriting done. So what would have took you, let's say, a week or two could take you a couple of hours, and then you go in and review everything to make sure it's accurate. Or let's say if people are recording their meetings or they have notes, you could throw that into AI and say, okay, help me draft a few blog posts or LinkedIn posts, or give me ideas on how to grow on social media in different ways. And now it'll give you 10 different variations on what you could post about. So then you could scale back further on what to do from there. And in terms of prospecting, one of the really cool use cases that I love using all the time is kind of like this deep research functionality. So before you jump on a call, you could have AI go and research the person you're about to meet with, and then it could give you all that information. So it just equips you to have more knowledge before hopping on a call, so it could just be that much more effective.
I love it. Yeah, and all of it makes perfect sense. Let's dive a little bit deeper into underwriting. Let's say investors want to save their time and have AI do the underwriting for them. What would that process look like, Javi?
Yeah, so you would take your financial information, and there's a bunch of tools that can do this right now, and like they're all getting pretty good. So I'm not gonna name like specific companies, but you could go within, let's say, Claude or ChatGPT and put in all the information, and like it could actually take your Excel numbers and do all the calculations for you and underwrite whatever you want. So like it'll download the Excel model, and like it could open up an instance in its own computer, like it has inside the model, and it will like do all the coding for you, all the calculations, and then spit back out to you everything done. Now, there's always that risk of like hallucinations and things happening, but as these models are getting better and better, like those risks are coming significantly less. But what would have taken you a week or something like that, now you could do it within a couple of hours and then go review everything and to make sure it's accurate.
Yes, I love that. And you kind of alluded towards my follow-up question in terms of hallucinations and making mistakes. So, since we all know that AI still makes mistakes and we don't know when it's going to be perfected, um, w- what would you say is the necessary validation step? Like, should you check every single one of the underwritings that's given to you, or do a spot check, or is there another method to make sure that AI is giving you the right information?
Yeah, I think it depends upon the task. I know there are certain thresholds and certain like when I was at PwC, we have like certain criteria based on a certain population of how many samples you should test so you're comfortable with the data. So I think it depends upon like the use case and how high risk the data might be. But I think it's more of around of a shift in perspective of how you're approaching using AI, because when I speak to a lot of people, they almost think of AI as like an oracle, and they don't even know that AI is going to make mistakes. So they trust everything it spits out, and they're like, oh, if they send it off, they're like, oh wow, I didn't even realize half the numbers were wrong because they didn't check it because they thought AI was just perfect. But if you're framing it in your head as this is kind of something that is going to assist you and help you do your work faster and better, or even like an associate that you would delegate the work to, would you check your associate's work? And like it's not going to be perfect. So you're saying, even if someone's saying like, oh, AI is not perfect, but if you give it to an associate, their work's not going to be perfect either. So I feel like and you need that shift in your mindset of this technology is going to help you do your work a lot faster and better, but it's not going to fully replace you. And where your role is really critical right now is your domain expertise to know if that information is accurate or not. Because if you were to be replaced by another AI, like people are very scared by that, but the AI is not going to know if it's accurate, or someone else is not going to know if it's accurate or not if they don't have the information that you know in your head. So that almost makes you more valuable if you really know your stuff and what you're doing.
Yeah, I think the concept of being afraid of AI, for the most part, is applicable to corporate employees because, for them, it's a matter of, if not fully, then at least partially being replaced by AI is a matter of time. I think it will happen, especially for people that do analytical or maybe data
Yeah.
entry or admin type of work. And they are the ones that need to stay on top of technology the most because for them it's a must if they want to have job security. For entrepreneurs like us, Avi, I think it's not a must, but it's definitely essential if we want to uh, advance in business. Because, like you said, you can save on time and you can achieve a lot more when you're using AI and when you're using technology. So, with that in mind, would you be able to share some of the more common use cases that you're solving for your clients? Like, what are the most popular ones?
Yeah, I think I touched upon it before. I would say, so one of the things that I love to build out, like the first thing when I start with a new client is almost like within ChatGPT, you have like these custom GPTs and custom personas. So you're able to build out these different personas where you could give each one its own knowledge base, its own instructions, and you could tell it how to act. So when I go across my day and do different tasks, I'll have like my personal custom assistant where it's trained to be like Avi Hacker's personal assistant. It knows everything about me, knows everything about my company, what I'm trying to achieve. So anytime I'm trying to brainstorm on any project, then I'll just go to that chat and I'll have that conversation. But then when I go to, let's say, I want to think about marketing, so then I'll create like a marketing helper. So then I'll create like a marketing specific role, marketing specific domain expertise, and then have that conversation with that marketing director. Or let's say a client sent me an NDA. So then I would want to review the NDA. So I'll have like a startup lawyer custom persona. So I like to think about it as any task you have on a daily basis, you could kind of build out a role that you could have your go-to AI assistant and help you with. So then every task you're doing significantly moves at a faster pace. So it's like when I start working with clients, I usually help them build out their personal custom assistant. So then if they're underwriting deals, I'll help them build out their underwriting assistant. Then if they're looking over properties, like I'll have their like create a property management assistant. And then it kind of just keeps on going off from there that you could just take everything and just be more efficient. So everyone thinks that they just want to automate as much as possible, but a lot of times I don't think automation is the answer. It's kind of like you're in the driver's seat and you're controlling everything and like having those conversations with the right personas at the right time so you could judge its output quality.
And speaking of that output quality, just like quantitative data can have mistakes, the qualitative data can have mistakes as well. And have you noticed some cases in the outputs where the answers were absolutely out of the blue? It didn't make sense.
Yeah. So when the answers don't make sense, I would say it narrows down to like a few things that it depends what model you're speaking to. That's why it also people need to upskill on just their AI like fluency of like on ChatGPT, you could have ChatGPT 5 or ChatGPT 5 Thinking or ChatGPT 5 Pro, or in Claude, you could have Claude 4.5 or Claude or like Claude the Haiku version. So those models have different outputs and like different context windows. So you could be, so one of my clients, he was trying to summarize the conversation that he had of a meeting, and he was asking to uh, do like a 2-minute summary of what each person said, but it was always cutting off like the last five people, and it was getting very frustrating because it was just saying like there's no more people in the meeting, but clearly there were. But then so when we met, he was using the GPT-5 regular model, which has a smaller context window than the GPT-5 thinking model. So once you change it to the different model, then the output was perfect every time. So it's kind of figuring out why the output is giving you the answers it's giving you, and then figuring out how to prevent it in the future. So you could even ask the model saying, like, this is wrong. Why did you come to this conclusion? And then it could even give you more insight into why it was taking the steps it took to get to that wrong answer. And then you'll know for the future on how to guide it differently.
Right, makes sense. In terms of using tools, it sounds like a lot of your work allows around being more efficient and effective during your workday. Does it entail automation? Do you offer your clients automation, and where do you see that automation make the most?
Yeah. So there are certain parts where I have built out automations for myself. Let's say if I record a certain meeting and then I'll have it uploaded into Google Drive, and then from Google Drive, it'll help me create like LinkedIn posts, Instagram posts, like newsletters, like social media content. So like I don't have to constantly manually do that every single time. So from that perspective, like I'll help clients build out certain automations where it's like if I see that it makes sense, because unless someone's doing something over and over and over again multiple times a week, there's not really a big need to get that complex into building out these significant automations, because they're not as easy as people make it seem to be on YouTube. Because yeah, you could learn something for hours and hours and hours, and yeah, it might take you 5 minutes after all those that work. And once you try setting it up, there's going to be a lot of errors. So I really like to take the approach on try to do the most simplistic thing as possible to get to achieve what you're trying to achieve.
I like that approach. And you know what when it comes to talking about AI, it wouldn't be a fully completed conversation if we didn't talk about tools. And I remember you mentioned that, the tools are changing, and, I don't want to mention any specific tools. And yet I'm sure there are some tools that are your favorites that you use on a regular basis. So what are some of those
Yeah.
tools that are your...
So I would say, like, as my main driver, I like ChatGPT right now for creating those custom projects and those custom personas. And you're able to also connect ChatGPT to external CRMs, like via like their connectors. So like that's incredibly helpful, just to go into the main chat and say, look at my calendar, say who am I meeting with this past week, and then could you go to my Google Drive and see all my meeting notes with them and give me a summary. And then you could have the agent functionality, say like you could go up and send out tasks, fill out forms for you. And then for more complex Excel functionality, I like using Claude for, let's say, like underwriting. And one of the recent skills that Claude came out with was actually called Skills, that you're actually able to like upload certain documents and tell it to follow this certain format every single time. And it's gotten incredibly powerful at working with Excel and coding documents. So like that is incredibly powerful. And then for like searching online and doing controlling your browser, I use Perplexity Comet. So I know ChatGPT just recently released their browser, but unfortunately it wasn't available for Windows. It was only for Mac, so I haven't had a chance to try it out yet. But essentially, I feel like everything's moving towards this agentic uh, actions where I'm on my browser and I'm on the web page, and all of a sudden I pull up the sidebar and I'm just like, hey, can you review these products on the page? And then it just starts going through my browser, looking everything up, and then getting all the information I need. So it's kind of like really getting to the point where you're working with AI, and like it's helping you side by side. And the more you become comfortable with using it and trying to do it, the more powerful and equipped you're going to be at your common tasks.
Yeah. Avi, what would you say to someone who hasn't yet used AI and is thinking about it, but is afraid to make that first step?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely overwhelming if you look at it like in a vacuum, and it just like new updates are flying every single day. There's a million tools out there, but just try to at least like once a day take a task that you're doing manually and just throw it into ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, whichever. Like if you're doing it for work, make sure it's like work approved, or even if for your personal life, just try to take one task that you think it could help you on, and then just throw it in and just see what its response is. And a lot of times I think people would get very surprised on how helpful it actually is. So then you take this from like doing one task once a day and then trying to do it two tasks every day, and then just build up your muscle on like trying to think about your tasks differently. Like when I get new tasks on my day, it's the way I approach everything is like, how could I use AI to do it first? And then if I can't do it, use AI, like, okay, then how do I do it? Because that's where the world is going, and that's how you're going to be able to keep up with this ever changing pace where like things are changing so fast. So like just to start getting comfortable with, I guess, start getting comfortable with being more uncomfortable, and just start experimenting a little bit every day.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with you. I think AI does save a lot of time. I know personally because I use it on a regular basis every single day, and still yet to explore a lot of the capabilities that are out there. And Perplexity was just the first one out there. To your point, yeah, ChatGPT didn't have their version of the web, and I honestly like Perplexity and their AI agent. I think it does the job. Why switch now
Yeah,
to something else when it's so powerful already? So it's doing great. Speaking of AI agents, so there is this perception or assumption that you can build AI agent, within the, let's say, ChatGPT. But then there are also million of other companies that are offering you to build custom AI agent. For someone who is deciding whether to go with what ChatGPT offers versus million other companies, what would your suggestion be in terms of that decision?
yeah. I would say you need to break it down by use case and like really take down what you want to achieve and see what's possible within ChatGPT or these other companies. Because I have built AI agents on like, let's say 10 different platforms, and they're mostly all the same. They're taking some type of trigger, whether that's an external trigger of like a meeting ending, a Slack notification, an email being received, and then that data being processed in a large language model, where that's either Gemini, Claude, and ChatGPT, and then that having its own role and custom instructions, and then that output going somewhere else. So like that's kind of like more of an automation, but where the agents come in is like you could give that agent multiple tools. So you could give that agent an email tool, a research tool, your CRM, so then it could decide should it like update your CRM and then send an email out, and then so like that's where it gets more complicated. But right now, people there are certain large language models that are better for certain tasks. So like the agents within ChatGPT, if people don't want to be limited just to OpenAI's platform, that's where I feel like they go to these other platforms to build out agents, and like they don't also have certain external triggers as extensively as other platforms have. So I think it's more about researching what you need and what capabilities are available within your current tool set. It gets pretty complicated. But I think anywhere, like you just need to break it down to the most simplest thing and see what's possible and then start branching out.
Sure. And for the folks that are ready to work with AI consultant, who would you say would be a perfect fit as far as clients go to start working with you?
Yeah, I would say if like you're a small to medium sized business and you're looking to implement AI strategy into your company and you're willing to put in a bit of effort into learning what the tools are out there and like you want to move your company into a more forward mindset and upskill your employees, then that's the people I love working with because one of the clientele that I actually don't like working with as much is kind of just, hey, Avi, here's a use case. Can you build me something? And I don't want to learn any AI because I actually don't like taking on those clients at all because I really feel like even if I do build that out for you and give it to you, you still need to learn how it works, the functionality, why it's working and the way it works. So I feel like that's that certain mindset that you either want to evolve with the times or just like you want to solve certain patches and stay current with what you're doing. So if you're the type of person that like you want to upskill and you want to learn how to get better with AI, you just don't know where to start, you don't know how to implement it into your company, those are the best clients that I love working with.
Awesome. I love that. That sounds good. We always ask two personal questions at the end of each interview. First one is, what are the best ways for our audience to connect with you and reach
Yeah,
out?
so right now, my main platform that I love posting on is LinkedIn. So you can find me there at Avi Hacker. And I also run a newsletter called the AI Tactical Toolbox on Substack.
Got it. And I have to ask this. This is not one of the questions, but Hacker, is that your real last name or is
Yeah,
it?
yeah, no, it's a good one. Yeah,
It is a good one. Yeah, it fits you perfectly.
yeah.
Your business. And our second personal question is, how do you like to give back?
In what way?
We always ask people, how do you give back, whether it's to your community or to your alma mater or to some organizations of your choice. How do you like doing that?
Well, I do give like I'm Jewish, so I do give 10% of my income to charity uh off the top. And also when I meet with people, I just make it kind of a point just to share as much information as possible because I think that is the most helpful way where people are nice to each other and then everyone just keeps on giving. So then it just kind of just give as much information as possible and help everyone out, and then it always comes around eventually.
Amazing. Thank you for that,
Yeah,
Avi. Avi, it's been very interesting speaking with you and learning about the new ways to use AI. And I'm sure you have to stay on top of it because technology changes not only every day, but every minute of the hour now
yeah,
when it comes to AI. So I'm sure you have to stay on top of it at all times. But I love what you shared and thank you for sharing with our communities. And
yeah.
until
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
of course, of course. Thank you so much, Avi.